I handed my best friend the keys to my first company for free, just to save our friendship. I thought I was being a brother. I didn't realize I was feeding a predator. I was the engine. Leo was the passenger. When we were laid off, I built an e-commerce empire. To keep the peace, I handed him the keys and started over from scratch with nothing but my secret sauce. Then the sabotage started. Fake legal takedowns, a shadow store that was a one-to-one clone of my brain. And finally, the smoking gun. An email proving Leo was stealing my identity to poach my biggest buyers. He called me paranoid while he was picking my pockets. The masks are off. The funeral for our friendship is over. If you haven't seen how a brother turns into a snake, click the I button for part 1. But for the rest of you, part 2 starts now.
I waited 2 days. I didn't set a deadline or issue an ultimatum. I just let the silence sit. In my mind, I had already chosen to forgive and forget. I wanted to move past the subsidiary email and the suspicion. I called him just like I normally would, the same way we'd done 1,000 times before, just to hang out and grab a coffee. The excuse came fast. I can't, man. I'm deep in product development for the new import line. It's crunch time. I felt a cold pit in my stomach. See, he forgot one thing. I had talked to his brother a few weeks ago. His brother had already bragged about how the product was finished and the inventory was already in the warehouse. He'd gone on and on about the hard labor they'd put into the branding and how the shipping processing was complete. I sat there with the phone against my ear, listening to my best friend lie to my face about work that was already done. I didn't argue, I didn't push. I just said, okay, and hung up. I realized then that they didn't just want to steal from me. They were afraid to look at me. 10 days passed. Finally, he calls me. Let's meet. When I showed up, something was different. He was alone. Usually his brother was attached to his hip like a shadow, but today it was just him. We started with the usual small talk, fake smiles and shallow questions, until he suddenly shifted gears. He started playing a game. He looked at me like he was hosting Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, but without the multiple choice options. You won't believe who's behind that fake company, he said, leaning in. Take a guess. I just stared at him. I already knew the truth, but I wanted to see how far he'd go. He dropped a name, a random friend of his brother's. It's him, Leo claimed. Crazy, right? I just nodded and said, okay. I didn't believe a word of it, but that was the moment the free mentorship ended. The door to my ideas, my sourcing strategies, and my trust didn't just close, it locked. I finished our drinks in a silence that felt heavier than lead. After that, the texts started flooding in almost every day. Let's meet up. What are you doing tonight? I ignored them all. I'm busy became my mantra. But while I was avoiding his face, I was investigating his tracks. I decided to get a little deep. I went to a site that archives old and deleted e-commerce listings to see what that fake company had been doing over the last few months. What I saw made my blood run cold. It wasn't just a similar business, it was a clone. He had literally screenshotted my products, copied my descriptions word for word, and was selling fake, cheap versions of my inventory. I saw everything in the archive reviews. Customers leaving 1-star ratings and hurling abuse because the quality was a scam. He wasn't just a competitor, he was a parasite, feeding off the reputation I'd built while destroying it in the process. I took my own screenshots, saved the evidence, and I did nothing. Not yet. The breaking point didn't come from the business theft. It came from a meme. Back when I was at my lowest, struggling with my personal life, I had shared things with Leo that I hadn't told anyone else. Secrets that were meant to be buried. One afternoon, he sent me a video. It was a joke meme, but it was specifically targeted at the trauma I had shared with him. It was a total shutdown of my respect for him. He wasn't just stealing my money anymore, he was mocking my pain. I felt a surge of rage, the kind that makes you want to burn everything down. But I stayed quiet. I had one last piece of business to settle. 6 months ago, barely 2 months before the fake product takedown started, I hit my lowest point. I was in a hospital emergency, a life and death situation where I couldn't cover the full cost. I was short just $2,000, and in that moment of pure desperation, I took a loan from him. I thought it was an act of brotherhood. I didn't realize it would become the last chain he'd use to hold me down while he dismantled my business behind my back. I called my girlfriend. I didn't have much time, but I didn't need to explain the whole nightmare to her. She already knew. I asked her for the $2,000, promising I'd have it back to her the following week as soon as my next payment cleared. She didn't hesitate. With that money in my hand, the last chain snapped. He thought he could hold that debt over my head forever while he dismantled my life. But he underestimated the people who actually cared about me. I arranged the money. I didn't call him. I didn't meet him. He didn't deserve another second of my time or another look at my face. I took a screenshot of the confirmation, sent it to his phone, and before the delivered notification could even pop up, I deleted his contact. I blocked his number, his brother's number, and purged them from my digital life. But more importantly, I removed him from my mind with peace and silence. Back then, when I left the first company, things took off. Within 3 months, it was pulling in huge profits. Every time we spoke, Leo couldn't help himself. He'd try to brag about the exact numbers, practically vibrating with the high of it. I'd stop him every time. I'd tell him, "Don't tell me the numbers, man. That's business. It should stay confidential." He kept saying he was going out of his mind because of how much money was hitting the account. I kept encouraging him. I'd tell him, just stay focused, keep working hard, and grow this thing into something huge. Never imagining that the bigger he grew, the more he'd hunger for what was mine. I was cheering for his growth, unaware that the monster I was encouraging would eventually try to consume me first. Next week, I called my girlfriend and paid her back her $2,000 within the week, just like I promised. But this time, it wasn't just a repayment, it was the first step into our new life. 9 months later, the secret sauce Leo was so paranoid about turned into a multi-million-dollar reality. I had been developing a luxury division under my brand, and unlike Leo, my main supplier saw the true value in my vision. He didn't try to steal it, he backed it. He gave me everything, huge discounts, a massive credit line, and the resources to scale. When the luxury line launched, it wasn't just a success, it was an instant hit. My supplier came to me with 3 doors. He wanted a proper foothold in the US market and knew I was the one who could bridge that gap. He offered me a 51% global partnership, a flat $2.5 million buyout, or my own terms. I knew my worth. I didn't just want a payout, I wanted a legacy. I negotiated the exit for $3.5 million cash, plus a 3% royalty on net profits every year for life. I even told him I'll give you my strategies for life, anytime you need them. I wasn't afraid of sharing my secrets with a real partner who respected my value. The paperwork is done. The deal is sealed. While Leo was busy fighting over my old scraps and screenshots, I was signing a deal that secured my future forever and start something new.